It was so hard to catch the episodes in order. You had to like set a schedule, especially for like a show like Inuyasha, which wasn't like one of like the big shonens at the time.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, like, for me, like, I watched it on YouTube, so I could just be like, episode 1, part 1, episode 1, part 2. And I think I watched it, like, I ended up watching the whole thing, and then I think at one point it dropped on YouTube, so I had to go onto one of those, you know those websites, the sketchy websites that gives you viruses. And then from there, whew, I found even more. And I'm pretty certain every time I got a virus on my computer, it was because I was watching anime on a sketchy website. I'm so sorry.
Well, at least you didn't accidentally stumble upon, hey, that looks like anime, and then you watch 5 minutes, you're like, oh no.
Yeah, no, I honestly, like, thinking about it now, I'm really surprised I never came across any hentai. Like, I am so surprised, because, like, I would just watch random show, anything. Like, I would watch anything.
Little 13-year-old Bill was like, what is this? What? They make cartoons of that? Yeah. Oh boy. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. On this episode, me and Alex are going to be taking a bit of a turn from gaming, and instead, we're going to take a look at our history with anime, with topics of discussion being our introduction to the medium, along with some of our favorite shows and some of our favorite memories watching anime over the years. Thank you again for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us, or I guess in this case, some of the shows we watched that also shaped us. So, how you been?
It's been a week. It's really been one of those weeks.
Yep. I've been on autopilot all week and it hasn't been fun.
Yeah. No, it's not that there was anything necessarily bad. Like, if anything, like, there was actually a lot of good things, but I know you said it, but I'm tired. Like, oh, I'm
exhausted.
Yeah, this week was just...
Oh, you know what? I wanted to get a coffee today, getting home on the way home from work.
Yep.
But it's been pouring all day.
Yeah, here too. It snowed this morning.
Not here. We had hail. That was about it.
It snowed. I came out this morning, and there was snow on my car. And I said, it was 70 yesterday. What the hell?
It's called We Live in New England, Alex.
It's called I boycott weather.
But anyways, as I was saying, I was heading home, and I really wanted a coffee for tonight to record. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, okay, I'll just stop and get one at Dunkin' Donuts. I pull into the thing. The drive-thru is wrapped around the building, and the entire parking lot is full. And I just looked and went, I guess I'm not getting a coffee today.
Yeah, at that point, it's just not worth it. Like it.
Well, that was the thing. If it was so wrapped around to the point that if I got in the line, I would be committed and I'd be stuck there.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to a point where I could escape, I'd already have been waiting that long anyways.
So you would have just gotten. Yeah. No.
So I decided, I don't need a coffee that bad.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I was just kind of like. Yep, it's raining out.
Well, at least
and it's a Friday.
At least you have beer.
Yeah. Oh, and I got Galgun Returns in the mail.
Oh boy,
because I needed that in my collection.
I am so proud. Didn't you say it's the 10th anniversary? Woohoo!
Yeah, I opened it up and I saw that. I was like, it's been around for 10 years.
Oh, that's weird.
No, I actually made a blog post for Galgun like years ago, and I never released it. It's a lost blog post. I don't know why. I think at the time I wasn't feeling it.
Release it now.
I don't even know if I still have it.
Call it the archives. Galgun.
Well, now that I have the new one, and the thing is, I don't want to do a blog post until I've actually played them. Yeah. But that would require me playing them.
True. And you don't want to do that. That's too cursed.
No, I only really bought them for the meme.
Yep.
But.
Anyways. I have something to add. So.
Okay.
Whenever I have to go somewhere for work, and it's like out of the office. My boss calls it a field trip. Because I am the child of the office. So the other day we went on 2 job site visits to do some coordination with some of our projects, and my boss is like, "All right, it's field trip day. Everyone get in the bus." He's calling his car the bus. Oh, it was great. It was great.
Well, at least you're having fun there.
Yeah, no, it's
a field trip where I work. Alex, a field trip where I work is going out to the shed to get something or using the bathroom.
Oh, that doesn't sound like a very fun field trip.
No, it's not. Not normally.
Oh, and I got food too. So, woohoo!
We ordered out, but we had to pay for it, so it wasn't really like woohoo. It was more just like, cool, I'm not eating nothing for lunch today.
Like, woohoo!
It was like, they basically, they were kind of like, oh, you want to order out? I was like, okay. That means I'll eat something today.
Have you ever had Wayback Burger?
No, there was the one in the mall, and it closed like twice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we stopped at one of those, because it was like the first thing we saw, and we were in a rush, because we were going to one job site to another job site, and it was all right. I would say, like, it was really greasy. That's what I would say. So that's my review of Wayback Burgers. It's greasy.
Kind of like a Five Guys. It's a little bit above like traditional fast food, but not much higher.
Honestly, like, the thing is, I would have preferred McDonald's. Because it was like almost so greasy to the point it was like gross. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. So that's not a good sign.
Yeah, it was really, like, there was just a lot of grease, and I was just like, I didn't want all this grease, but I have all this grease. So that was my other coworker's thing. But my boss got the salad, and he was like, yeah, I got the salad because I knew it was going to be greasy, and I was like, ooh, why didn't you tell me that? I would have got a salad too.
I had a salad for lunch today.
Oh, but we also we were trying to go to this different restaurant. It was a Cajun restaurant. I'm going off on a tangent. I'm so sorry, people. But it didn't open for lunch until 12:30, which I thought was weird, because most places are open by like 11 for lunch, you know? But I guess, I don't know. We were disappointed. We wanted the Cajun food instead.
Well, you had greasy burger.
Yeah. Well, it was a greasy chicken sandwich. That's the thing.
Ew.
It was chicken.
That sounds even worse.
I know. That's why. Yeah, I had a stomach ache after that too.
But a greasy burger is not great, but at least you can deal with
greasy
it. Greasy
chicken.
Ugh.
Yeah, no. So my review of Wayback Burgers is out of 10. I wouldn't go back. Should I start a review channel? Let me know. Just kidding. I won't do that because I'm too lazy.
Okay. Well, anyways, this is a podcast, although ironically for a gaming podcast, we're not really talking about gaming today.
No. Screw the gaming. We're not doing that today.
Anyways, so for this episode, we're actually going to be discussing anime.
Anime.
You know, the thing that we mention all the time.
Yeah. The thing we watch too much of.
At this point, you know, honestly, at this point, both circles kind of mesh together most days anyways. They were both the quote-unquote you weren't cool fad back in the day, and now they're both just completely socially acceptable.
Yeah.
So weird how the world works now.
That's the world, I guess.
Yep. But yeah, anyways, I guess we can start with our first introductions to anime, and technically, because mine involves yours, let's start with yours.
Okay, so my first introduction to anime was, I think we went to Blockbuster, and we
Remember those kids?
Yeah, and we went to the VHS section, because at the time, there was no DVDs yet. It was all VHS. So we went to the VHS.
You know what? It's sad that you're saying this, but you're right.
Yeah, there was no DVDs. It was all VHS tapes. So I'm going in with you and Mom.
We are old.
And I see this anime, but I didn't know it was anime at the time. I thought it was a cartoon, and I see it, and it has a princess, moons, fancy writing, and pretty girls in pretty costumes, and I said...
And it was pink.
I need it! Yes, and it was pink, and it had flowers and, like, a princely character, and I was like, boom! I'm getting it! And it was Sailor Moon, the first movie. I believe the movie was, I don't remember. I think it was like Promise of the Rose or like something with rose in it or flowers. But
it was the one with roses.
no, yeah, I know it was something with roses, but basically like it was
the one that was subtitled R, right?
Yeah. It was during, so they had like Sailor Moon has different seasons, and Sailor Moon R was a season, so it was kind of the movie that was paired with the Sailor Moon R season. So that's the best way to describe it. But none of the movies were canon, but that was my first introduction. I watched it, and then I was hooked. And then I think we watched it like 5 times. Like, we watched it every day.
You used to watch that thing like 3 times a day.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
To the point where I know it by like heart now, and it's kind of sad.
So after that, I rented the other movies, which the other movies were, one, it was like this Ice Queen movie, and Luna, the cat, turns into like a human, and she got like hairy boobs for some reason. I remember that for some reason. She did! She had like weird like fur on her boobs, I don't know. And then...
See, as a kid, I didn't notice that, but now I'm never going to unsee it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, also, like, I watched it recently, and, like, the Ice Queen lady...
we watched it recently.
Yeah, no, the Ice Queen lady, she's completely topless. Her boobs are out. I don't remember if they uncensored that for, like, what we watched, but I feel like it was censored when...
Oh, no, it was definitely heavily censored in the original.
I think she had a top when we watched it.
The original Deke / Cloverway, I think, dub. Mm-hmm. Those releases were definitely heavily censored, because even the transformation sequences and stuff had like all sorts of like stuff edited out.
Yeah, well, they would like edit out like the lines and stuff to like show like the definition of the bodies, but I remember that. And then the third movie was one, it was basically, the message was, don't take candy from strangers. No, it was... there was like people, and they were like they had like little flutes, and they would flute-a-doo-doo-doo and like kidnap kids, and the whole plot was that like it was like dreams. She was trying to steal the dreams of kids to rule the world. So yeah, Sailor Moon movies were a time. They were a time, but it led me to watching the show. Oh, you go.
Well, all I really remember from those movies was the Cloverway dub was hilariously awful, but nostalgic at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Then I always thought Tuxedo Mask was absolutely useless.
Oh, yeah, he is. Completely.
Even in the movie where he's such a major character, he's useless.
Well, yeah, no, he's hurt, like, half the time in that movie. He spends
the whole movie trapped in a crystal.
Yeah, he's trapped in a crystal. Well, he was, like, stabbed because the guy stabbed him. Well, technically he wasn't completely useless. Hiccup, sorry. What hiccup is that? That's number 1. So let's keep track.
I lost count.
That's number 1 of this podcast. But anyways, yeah, he got stabbed. Like the guy's long nails, like it was like his nails came out and they were like a laser. And he was trying to stab Sailor Moon, but then of course Tuxedo Mask like takes it for her, and then he goes, "Oh no!"
Why didn't he throw his magical?
Because
why didn't he throw his magical rose?
Because he needed to be locked in an ice cube for the rest of the. It's just how it works, Bill. It's just how it works.
Until the big damn kiss at the end.
Oh yeah, and the kiss, because she, spoiler, she dies. And the only way to revive
these movies are
is true love's kiss.
It's sad how like simple these movies' plots are that we can just remember them.
Oh yeah, no, they were so simple. But honestly, when we went back and watched them, we had a good time. It was a good. They were fun. They were stupid. They were.
We were also drunk. We were also drunk on New Year's.
All right. You know, all right. Yeah. that helped.
I bought those on Amazon Prime just so we could do that too. That's the best part.
This podcast is so chaotic already. I can't take it. But anyways, because I watched those movies, I watched the TV show, which kind of leads into your first experience with anime.
So, basically the show would always be on Toonami in the afternoons or evenings on Nickelodeon. So usually we had to share the TV we had, and usually she'd watch whatever and I'd play video games. Although one night she watched Sailor Moon, I happened to leave it on for a few minutes, and then the next thing that popped up was Ronin Warriors.
Yes.
Which was basically Power Rangers with samurais and a giant tiger. It's actually a surprisingly good show that's held up pretty well, and the voice acting wasn't actually awful. But I remember catching that every now and then. Plus, I didn't know it was an anime at the time, but Dragon Ball Z was also running on Kids WB at the time with the Ocean dub. And I'd see that occasionally, but I didn't religiously watch it until after discovering Ronin Warriors, and that's around when the Funimation dub started appearing on Toonami as well, and then you could actually watch the entire series, which you'd kind of catch sporadically from there. And yeah, that's kind of how I got first introduced into it, even though at the time I thought it was just cartoons and not anime.
Yeah. No, and at the time that's what I thought too. But then eventually, I feel like my next experience with anime came when we got computers that had the internet.
Yeah. Oh, the internet. It's so dangerous.
Yeah. Well, especially, like, early internet was, like, that brief period of time where you could just watch anime on YouTube. And they had it, but it was never all one video, like we're spoiled to, like we have now. Like, you had to watch it in parts. So it'd always be, like, episode 1, part 1, episode 1, part 2, episode 1, part 3. And part 3 was always, like, 2 minutes of the show and the credits. That's usually always how it worked, I remember.
Alex, that's how I watched, that's literally how I watched Inuyasha.
Yeah.
Like one of my first times watching it.
Yeah. I think I actually ended up watching Inuyasha through YouTube, too. I remember I'd watch it briefly on Toonami when it was on.
See, I watched it on Toonami all the time, although I never caught the episodes in order because...
Yeah.
It was so hard to catch the episodes in order. You had to, like, set a schedule, especially for, like, a show like Inuyasha, which wasn't, like, one of, like, the big shonens at the time.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, like, for me, like, I watched it on YouTube, so I could just be like, episode 1, part 1, episode 1, part 2. And I think I watched it, like, I ended up watching the whole thing, and then I think at one point it dropped on YouTube, so I had to go onto one of those, you know, those websites, the sketchy websites that gives you viruses. And then from there, whew, I found even more. And I'm pretty certain every time I got a virus on my computer, it was because I was watching anime on a sketchy website. I'm so sorry.
Well, at least you didn't accidentally stumble upon, hey, that looks like anime, and then you watch 5 minutes, you're like, oh no.
Yeah, no, I honestly, like, thinking about it now, I'm really surprised I never came across any hentai. Like, I am so surprised, because, like, I would just watch random anything. Like, I would watch anything.
Little 13-year-old Bill was like, what is this? What? They make cartoons of that? Yeah. Oh, boy.
I'm sorry. They make cartoons. I'm just imagining you as a 13-year-old being like, oh my god.
Well, no, Alex, it was more, I had the door wide open to the room, and I looked out and went, uh-oh.
I love this podcast because I feel like we don't know things about each other, and then we just learn them through this. And it's great. Oh my god.
Yeah, how did you discover hentai? Oh, I was looking for illegal anime rips, and I found this site that I thought was anime. You know, as you do.
Oh my god. So, I don't even know where it's going right now. So, what was, like, I guess so, like, I guess we both watched, like, Inuyasha. I guess, but...
See, here's the funny part about us watching Inuyasha, though. We both watched it, but I don't think either of us were aware that we were both
No,
watching
I don't
it.
think either of us were aware, and either of us even discussed it, or even mentioned it to each other.
Well, no, because I wasn't really open about watching anime back then. Neither were you, really.
No, neither was me. Because we both were like, oh my god, people are going to think we're that weird kid with the backpack and the pins. Oh. And now that's what we are. And that's what we are now. I mean, so now I really couldn't give two single fucks. Oh, sorry, I wasn't trying to swear, but it just happened. I really could not care less anymore what anyone thinks of me. I work for a living. Leave me alone. If I want to watch anime, let me watch anime.
Alex, I mean, I work in a machine shop, and I have a Kagome keychain on my keys at all times, so...
Yep. No.
I don't think anyone really cares. One of my best friends at work watches it, is, like, super into anime, so...
Yeah. So,
it's pretty normal these days.
So what was, like, the next, like, one that, like, you got super into? Because I know mine, but I want you to go next, because I feel like I've been talking too much.
Well, do you want to count Pokemon? Because we both watched that.
I mean, I don't think we need to go into detail about it, but yeah, we both watched Pokemon, but honestly, like, who didn't watch Pokemon?
I know.
Yeah.
That was probably the first anime film most people went to see.
Yeah, no, really. Yeah. So let's mention it. We both watched Pokemon up until...
Oh, actually, I completely missed it. One of the biggest animes I watched as a kid, Digimon.
Oh, yeah! Digimon. Yep.
Pretty much. I watched Digimon pretty much religiously from the first season, Adventure 2, Tamers, and then Frontier was the last one I watched. That was the one where they turned into the Digimon.
Oh, yeah! That one was weird. They always make it weird towards the end.
It was weird, but I did enjoy that one, to be honest.
Yeah. No.
And then it actually stopped airing for a while, and it eventually came back. But by then I had moved on to other things.
Yeah. No. I think I would watch Digimon if you were watching it, but I don't think I ever was super into it like you. But I remember watching the movies and having nightmares, especially that one of like where it was the internet monster. And it was in the computer. Okay. That one scared me.
Digimon the movie. No, here's the real question, Alex. Were you scared of the movie, or were you scared of the Angelina Anacondas part at the beginning?
What is that?
You don't remember? Oh, man. So the Digimon movie had like an opening scene that was like, there was like this really short-lived TV series called Angelina Anaconda. And it was like that show on, I think it was Nickelodeon, where like all the characters were like realistic photographs that were like papercraft, like animated and like mouths and stuff. Look it up, you'll know it if you see it.
Ugh, that sounds horrible.
No, it was horrendous. Like, I don't understand how it did well.
Alright, well, I'm gonna look that up later, but I do not remember. I blocked it out. My brain blocked it out, maybe for good reason. Maybe I shouldn't look it up.
I only remember it because it was that Digimon movie, because it was literally like one of the pre-trailers for the movie that would always play, and you'd see it anytime you watched it and be like, what is this? I just want to see freaking Digimons.
I don't want Angelina Anaconda.
Yeah. God, that was probably the most 90s thing. That whole movie's kind of a mess, because it's actually like, it's 3 like mini films from Japan that were kind of edited together into a movie, and the continuity doesn't make sense in the slightest, but oh well.
Anime. I don't know. Japan.
No, that was just called Saban being lazy and editing it together.
Yeah.
If you thought 4 Kids was bad.
Okay. So I guess like the next show that I got super into was the show called, it was like Shugo Chara, I think was what it was called. And it was kind of the same, like, it was like a magical girl anime, because that's what I was into. I like the pretty magical transformations. But this one, the premises was that, like, every person had, like, an egg. Now, stay with me. They had, like, an egg, and it was, like, a little character. But not everyone could unlock this little character. But I guess the egg was, like, your true self, and was who you really were on the inside. And if you unlocked it, you basically had this little, hey, what's up, little guy on your shoulder, little anime character on your shoulder all the time. And the main premise was that there was this girl, and she just moved into town, and she was kind of, like, wasn't her true self to anyone. She put on this facade as this cool girl when she really wasn't this cool girl. She was just a new girl who didn't know what to do with herself. So she makes a wish one night and she's like, I wish I could be my true self. I wish I could. And then the next day she wakes up and there's just a bunch of eggs in her bed. And she's like, what the hell? Why are there 3 eggs in my bed? Stay with me. I see your face. So she goes throughout the day holding them, and it's just like, I don't know why there's freaking eggs, but there's eggs. And then eventually she gets into, like, I don't know, like a construction zone, and for some reason someone is chasing her. Oh, they're chasing her because they know she has the eggs and they want to steal them for some reason. I don't know. Stay with me. And so she goes, and then while she's up there, boom, she unlocks the magical transformation, and she becomes a magical girl, because her egg hatched, and it was like this little character, and then the first couple episodes are the other eggs hatching, because she has 3 little magical people, and no one else does. Everyone has 1, so she's special. And that's basically the show. Well, the show is like, they basically do that. It's like Sailor Moon, where they basically fight an enemy every day, and they like save someone from being turned into a monster or dying or something like that. And then there's like a some sort of evil organization, but they made them like X eggs, and they put little X's on them, and they were mean, and they were basically like someone's dreams were crushed and you had to save them. That was her plot. But that was another show I really you look so lost the whole time. But I bet other people watched it.
Either that or you're the only one.
No, it had I think it had over 200 episodes.
I'm sure it
had multiple it never got a dub. It was all subtitles. Because I had gotten into the subtitles very quickly.
See, back in the day, I think one of the reasons why I'm so strictly dub only is even back then, I'd see it subbed, I'd be like, I can't watch it.
See, I dabbled in the subs because I was a woman of culture. I wanted to watch a show with magical egg people.
I never told you about the first time I discovered Akira.
Oh no! Oh no! How old were you? Please.
13. Around that same time.
No, Bill. Discovering Akira and hentai all at the same age.
Okay, so I discovered Akira before hentai.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure actually if that's better or not, but no. So back then you'd go on those sites. Actually, it was on YouTube at one point.
Oh,
it didn't last long.
Oh no!
But I caught it on one of those streaming sites.
Yep.
Back in the day.
Yep.
And it was the original Steamline dub.
Yep.
The one that's I actually love the Steamline dub for Akira because it's so hilarious.
Yep.
But no, so I was like, this one seems really popular. Everyone is saying this is really popular to watch it, so I think I'll watch it. And at that point, the most violent thing I'd seen in anime was probably Dragon Ball. So.
Oh no.
Maybe Inuyasha. Even then, that's not really that violent.
Yep.
So then the first scene I see is people getting shot the fuck up.
And you're just oh no.
Ripped apart. Freaking. Oh my god. And then of course the transformation at the end.
Yep. That was
by then I was like, what did I just watch?
Yep.
Oh man. But that opened my eyes to the fact that anime was not just cartoons. It was definitely something else.
Yeah. No, I definitely my next show actually kind of was oh, okay, this is a lot more because my next one I watched was called Fushigi Yuji, I think. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm sorry. But I started watching it because the premise is actually very similar to Inuyasha. Where the main instead of getting where Kagome gets pulled down a well, she gets put into a book. Book. And instead of Japan, it's it's based off in China. And she gets pulled into a book where there is these celestial warriors And she basically is like the priestess of the area. I think it's called Suzaku. She's the priestess of their area's god. And she basically has to find the 7 warriors and defeat the other kingdom, Seryu. But plot point, her friend also got pulled into the book with her, and her friend is the opposite priestess. So they gotta duke it out. But that show, like, when I first watched it, I just thought, oh, it's gonna be like, there's gonna be a little romance, there's gonna be like a little bit of like, oh, love triangle, ooh. But then like people start dying, and like they go, and like some of them died really brutal deaths when you looked, and also there was like rape was in it, and I was just like, oh no, what did I watch? So that was definitely one of the shows where I thought I was going in for a good old Inuyasha time, and then I didn't get a good old Inuyasha time. I was like, oh no, oh no. Yeah. So that was a show.
It's kind of funny because back then my attention span was terrible. So I would like come across things and I'd kind of watch a couple episodes and then I'd kind of fall off and move on to something else.
Yeah.
Which was very common back then, because really, when I think about it, the only ones that ever held me were the ones that were like easy to access.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I'd catch the Dragon Ball episodes when I'd see them. I'd still, Yu-Gi-Oh was on by that point,
yeah.
So I was catching Yu-Gi-Oh every now.
No,
and then.
I also watched Yu-Gi-Oh.
It's so bad now.
Oh
but
yeah.
It's
horrible.
Like it is nostalgically bad though, so at the point where I kind of still enjoy it.
Yeah, no. But you're also like, oh, at the same time.
But I always remember because that was always like I'd watch those. I think honestly my most outlandish thing I watched at that point was Inuyasha. Because that was the only one that I was more secret about for whatever reason.
Yeah. I don't know. I was different. Like, if I started watching something, I finished it. Which kind of leads me to my next one. I watched all of Bleach.
Still have not watched it and just don't care.
It's like, it's one of those shows that, like, I can't recommend to people because, like, there are some really good scenes, like, there's some really good fight scenes, and there's some good episodes, but there is a lot of bad episodes as well.
So that was one of the ones that I watched like 3 episodes of and then dropped.
Yeah, it's definitely, I remember being one of those shows that like it was a little hard for me to pick up, but I was kind of determined because I felt like at the time like anime was so limited, and this was also my first divulge into like a non-romancy kind of anime. Like for the rest of them were like kind of shoujo, more ooh, cutesy.
Which is funny because you've like fallen completely out of like the romance.
Oh yeah,
full on action.
Yeah, and I'll discuss that more later. But this was kind of like my first little like.
Which is kind of funny because in hindsight, I've actually kind of gone the other way.
Yeah,
which is weird.
It's really funny how your taste changes and everything. But that was like my first divulge into like the traditional like shonen fighting anime, and I will say like. For the episodes that were good, they were very good. But for the episodes that were filler or were just bad, it was bad. Like I never really enjoyed the filler in Bleach. And like other shows, like you can enjoy the filler. Like one of my favorite shows now, One Piece. I enjoy the filler. Like I think it's fun, and like sometimes I don't even realize I'm watching filler until I like look it up on an arc.
I mean, I loved Inuyasha filler.
Yeah, no, same. Like, I think Inuyasha filler was always like fun and like fun to watch, and
I'm not even sure if this was filler, but Drunk Kagame is still one of my favorite things.
I'm pretty certain that was a filler. I'm pretty certain it is.
That's one of the best episodes, just because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, that's so silly.
Now, I think what's funny is, though, around this point, though, which was probably late 2000s, just into the 2010s, I kind of fell off the anime train for a while. Mm-hmm. and I kind of just moved on to other things. I think that's when I got really into video games, like full on.
Yep.
Because 2009 is when the collecting bugs hit. And I was very into video game history at that point, and that's kind of where, like, I kind of dropped off from, like, watching TV or shows in general, and I was strictly video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what brought me back was, honestly, alluded to in a previous episode, is my favorite game of all time, Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly anime.
No, yeah.
Like, and I've always, even though I wasn't a massive anime fan back in the day, I was more of a casual fan. I always loved the art style. Like, I've always loved Japanese, like, artwork and stuff like that. So, seeing that a game which was, like, super anime, about as anime as it can get, basically being about as anime as a game can get, and falling absolutely in love with said game, it kind of intrigued me to get back into anime. I know.
Oh.
And,
yeah.
basically, lost my train of thought. Anyways, it got me back into anime, which I immediately discovered Persona 4 had its own anime.
Yes.
Which I proceeded to binge.
Yes.
And then around that, the bug kind of came back, and it was kind of up from there. But anyways, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Bye. I'm mad at you. You made me look up Angelina Anaconda. I blocked that out of my brain for a reason. And now it's back.
Well, you
I'm
reminded me of it.
flipping you off. Fuck you. I don't like you anymore. I don't want that show. No! That was
Well, you reminded me of it right now, so I have to at least return the favor. So
fuck you.
Okay. Anyways, continuing on. So basically, while I was in my dark period of not watching anime, you never stopped.
I never stopped. And I watched so much crap. I watched so much garbage. I basically would watch anything that I could watch. Which leads you to watching a lot of weird shit. But it also leads you to finding a lot of good shit. Because I think, like, some of, like, I'm not going to go into as big detail, but, like, during this time, some of the shows that I watched, I started watching Soul Eater, and that was really good. I think I started watching, what else did I watch that was good at the time? That's the thing. I watched a lot of crap that I don't remember. I remember I watched one, and it was like, oh, I remember when it was mermaids. They were mermaids. I think it was called Mermaid Melody, so it was mermaids and they sang. So it was singing mermaid princesses. So I went from Bleach to mermaids.
I think I walked in on you watching that, and you, like, shut the tab and you were like, I'm not watching anything. Because I vaguely remember something about mermaids.
Yeah, I watched the show. It was about mermaids. And it was a good show. It was very weird, but it was good. It was good. And
most animes are weird.
I think I also at this time realized that Sailor Moon had, like, this 5th season that never aired in the States, and it never got a dub. It was Sailor Moon Stars, and there was, like, the Star Sailor. There was, like, Sailor Scouts from all over the galaxies and universes, and I remember there was the Sailor Starlights, and they were, like, their human forms were men, but their Sailor Scout forms were women. So I was really confused.
You wonder why this one wasn't localized.
Yeah, and I look back at it now, and I'm just like, wow, I was so confused. But thinking about this now, it actually makes me kind of hyped for the
when it
movies
eventually does get dubbed.
Well, I think it did get dubbed, but I think you have to pay for it.
Once it releases, anyways.
Yeah, but I was talking about how they're making they did, like, the Sailor Moon Crystal, but the last 2 seasons are going to be movies, so I'm excited to see what they do with the movies.
Well, it's funny because around this point, obviously, YouTube was a big thing, and it's funny because you know how I discovered that 5th season of Sailor Moon?
How?
So, I'm
was
browsing
it the Sailor
YouTube,
Scouts
and I just
dying?
Yeah, the clip where all of the Sailor Scouts die, and I'm just like,
Oh, spoiler alert, they all die. But they come back to life. But they all die. So, yeah. And I think I remember watching one, and actually there were some that were really good. Because I remember watching one, it was very old, but it was basically about this young girl who wanted to be like an idol in Japan. And she could sing very well, but the thing was that she was like sickly. So I don't remember how, but like she either has like a guardian angel or like someone, I think it's like a guardian angel character, like allows her to like kind of transform into like a more adult, and then she can go and she has her singing career, and you basically watch her like throughout her singing career, but she's also slowly like dying at the same time because she's very sick. And that one was very good, and I remember watching it, I was like, wow, I'm deep. I am a deep teenager. But that one was very good. And then I remember watching another one that was kind of around the same, not the same idol context of, it was like idols, and she like was like really clumsy, and she just wanted to meet like one of like a male idol, and then she's like, ew, he's a jerk. But then she's like, to spite him, I'm gonna become an idol. I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called, but it had a lot of seasons, and it changed things up every season, and it got like, I remember I was like, oh my god, I can't watch 400 more episodes of this, goodbye. And then I dropped it. But nowadays I'll watch 400 episodes. And then I guess I remember, I'm like thinking of all like the standout ones. Oh, and then I remember I discovered like one of my first darker shows, and that was called Shiki. Have you ever heard of Shiki?
You've mentioned it a couple times.
So Shiki is based off, it's a vampire anime, but it's not okay. Like, it's not romance though. Like it's basically this family of vampires come to a remote town, like a remote Japanese town, and their goal is to basically turn everyone into a vampire, or if they don't turn into a vampire, kill everyone, so it can be a town of vampires. So they come in, so as it goes on, the town, suddenly people just start like dying. People start dying in the middle of the night, and of course, like no one at the time realizes it, but there's bite marks on everyone's neck. So, and what would kind of happen with like, I actually thought their vampire plot was cool. When they got bit, they weren't immediately like turned into a vampire. It actually was like, there's kind of like a gestation period of like 3 days. In 3 days, they would wake up in their coffin, and then like the vampire people would unbury them from the ground basically, and like wait and see if they would emerge, and if they emerged, woohoo, they had a vampire, and they basically were like, yeah, so now you have to listen to us, and if you don't, you die. So it was like really dark, but I do recommend it because it's actually very like good. There's like a doctor character who's trying to figure out what's wrong with everyone, and like at one point like his wife gets turned, and then he basically like is like, well, what should I do? He basically keeps her body and to see if she'll turn, and then he ends up having to do experiments on her to figure it out, and then has to kill his wife. Yeah. So it gets dark, but it's a good show. I recommend it. And then there was like another... I was just going to say there was... I was going to say there was like another vampire anime. I'm sure everyone has heard of it, but I did watch Vampire Knight, which was like the Twilight of anime, and that's all I'm gonna go, because I look back on it now. I like tried to watch it recently, and I was like, this sucks. Why did I watch this? But also, like, my taste you just hurt that one fan that loves that anime. No, I'm sure at the time when I was a teenage girl, I loved it, but looking back on it now, I'm like, wow, this sucks. Like, this is bad.
Well, anyways, cutting back up to when I kind of got back into anime, obviously by then, it was getting pretty mainstream. Like, it was kind of at the point where, like, you could go into a Walmart and find just a pile of, like, anime DVDs on the normal shelf, and it wouldn't be, like, super out. They didn't have their own section yet.
Yeah.
But they were still... They were frequent enough that it was kind of like, okay, this is starting to become socially acceptable.
Yeah.
So, after I watched Persona 4 the animation, I was like, okay, I'm kind of interested in this stuff again. So I went to Walmart, and I was just kind of browsing, and the first thing I happened to spot was Cowboy Bebop, the full series.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is the one that everyone says is one of the greatest animes ever made.
Yep.
Might as well watch it, because it was legitimately $20 for the whole series.
Yep.
And I gave it a watch, and you know what? It's really good. The dub is phenomenal. All the characters are so likable. I don't want to get super into it, because I'm not like you, and I can't describe an anime.
Yeah. No,
from beginning to end, but that one kind of opened my eyes to, like, this is its own, like, form of art. Like, it's not just another cartoon. This is literally another medium, basically.
Yeah. No, that's definitely how I feel. Like, it's its own category, because, like, the storytelling is just so different. And I think at this point, when you started watching Persona 4, the animation was when I was in college, right? It was around then?
No, you were still in high school, because I watched that, I was still in high school. Oh,
okay. I don't think I had seen it until I was in college, though.
No, I watched it initially, because you still didn't know what Persona was at that point.
Yeah, no.
But, no, we watched it years later when I got the DVD box sets, and we had them on standby, because I watched it on an illegal streaming service the first time I watched it.
Yes.
But, yeah, so then after Cowboy Bebop, I kind of went on, like, a binge of, like, trying to collect as many box sets as I could find. And I went on, I got all of Dragon Ball.
Yep.
Well, I got OG Dragon Ball, because I wanted to finally watch all of it.
Yep.
Because I'd only seen it in parts. I recollected all of Z, rewatched Z. I got GT, and I watched it.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Super wasn't a thing yet, but Battle of Gods, I believe, was just around the corner at that point.
Yep.
And then, of course, I rewatched Inuyasha again.
Yep.
And what's funny about rewatching Inuyasha is when you're a kid, as a young, like, teenage kid, or actually, we probably wasn't even a teenager when that came out initially. As a younger kid, you watch that and you go, why is Kagame so annoying? And then you grow up and you're like, I feel for Kagame.
Hey, I get it now.
Why is Inuyasha such a prick?
Yeah. No, isn't that funny when you go back and watch things and your whole viewpoint is changed? Cause
it's like the SpongeBob thing. It's like,
oh yeah, like
when
you
you're
relate
a kid,
to Squidward now.
When you're a kid, you relate to SpongeBob, and then when you're an adult, you grow up and you become Squidward.
Yes, we're all Squidward.
But it was interesting rewatching it, like, because that was the third time I watched it. Because the first time I watched it in pieces when it was airing, but that was before, like, the final act came out.
Yep.
Then around when the final act came out, that's when the series was easily obtainable on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I watched most of it on YouTube, and then watched the final act, and then finally got the closure.
Yep.
And then after I got into anime, then that's when I watched it for a third time. That's when I truly kind of appreciated it for what it was.
Yeah.
And going from there, then I kind of just... It was kind of sporadic what I'd watch.
Yep.
I mean, you can probably understand.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, I think, like, for me, like, my taste really changed in anime when I got to college. Because in college, you start getting recommendations from other people. And you're like, ooh, I should watch this. So I'd have to say probably one of the first, like, shows that was not on brand for me that I watched in college was probably... I guess I'd have to say it was, what's it called? Hellsing. I watched Hellsing.
Okay.
I watched Hellsing Ultimate. I didn't watch the original, because everyone told me, they were just like, oh, watch Ultimate. It's, like, it's just as good and the animation's better. I watched that, and that was like one of my first like really like dark anime, because it's basically vampires and Nazis. So
it's amazing how many animes Nazis appear in.
It's definitely one of those things, but it's very good. I enjoyed Hellsing.
I'll always remember the Dragon Ball Z film Fusion Reborn, where Hitler is literally in it.
Yep.
Just because.
Yeah, just because propaganda.
No, it was because hell, the gates of hell opened up and all the evil people were up on Earth again.
Yep.
And he loved the Super Saiyans because they had blonde hair and blue eyes. It was so bad.
No. Well, so by leading into that, the next show that I remember watching that really impacted me in college was I watched Hetalia. And oh my god, if you watch that show, you gotta take it with a grain of salt of when it came out, because the jokes
that's the one that's like,
it's just stereotypes of all the countries.
It's the one that's like, it's the anthropomorphized continents, right? Or
yes, countries.
Okay.
So it's basically like making fun of all of the countries, like Germany, like there's character Germany, he's blonde with blue eyes, and he's like da da da, like, and he's and it's all actually based around World War II, at least Axis Powers, which was the one I watched. It's based around World War II with the two alliances. So you basically see Germany, Japan, and the Italy character, and the Italy character, like, he barely speaks except for going pasta. That's what he does. It's so, like, you watch it. I went back and watched it. I was like, oh no, this would not fly today. Even though I think it actually got a new season, like a new.
Well, no. Here's the thing: it will fly because Japan doesn't care.
Well, yeah, no. In Japan, it will fly because in Japan, that's the thing. Like, it's a culture difference there. Like, they make fun of everyone.
It'll still probably get dubbed over here because they'll still dub anything.
Yeah, I think it was on Funimation where I saw the newest season. I saw something about. I think I did. I might be mistaken, but I watched that, and that was a time. That was a great time.
Yeah.
And then I'd say the next big one that really changed my taste was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Now, before you get into your 5-hour JoJo tangent,
yes,
I should probably bring up the one anime that changed my taste, because growing up, getting into anime, I was usually into more action heavy. Like I'd say the least action heavy anime I watched was probably Inuyasha, and that says a lot.
Yeah,
because that's still Inuyasha is a very confused show sometimes, because its tone is very. That's kind of why I like it, because it's not always action, but it's not always comedy, and it's sometimes romance. It tries to be a romance anime sometimes. But to me, the first anime that I watched that was really outside of my typical shonen / mon / whatever Inuyasha is anime was Azumanga Daioh.
Oh, okay. I remember. Yep, I remember you telling me about that a lot.
Which, for all intents and purposes, it's basically, to put it in the simplest terms, it's Seinfeld the anime, because it's literally an anime about nothing.
Yeah.
It's just 5 or 6 high school girls, and the wacky shit that happens.
Yep.
It's amazing though. The dub is hilarious. They get all the jokes right. And it's you just sit there going what is this? But at the same time, it opened my eyes to the idea of a slice of life or a rom-com.
Yeah.
Not that Azumanga Daioh is not really a rom-com. It's strictly a slice of life comedy. But it interests me to the idea that not all animes were action-packed or violent. It was interesting, a different take. And from there, I basically started being I was pretty much open to anything anime at that point.
Yeah. You became a man of culture.
By watching the anime about high school girls.
Yes, culture.
And a cat thing that's also one of the girl's father, and it makes sense in context. You have to watch it together.
Okay, it's one of those. All right, I'll accept it because of the shit I watch.
So, when I say it makes sense in context, it doesn't make sense, but you just kind of agree with it.
Accept it at that
You just go with it at that point. But anyways, let's go into your JoJo tangent. Let's keep it under an hour.
Alright, I won't go that long. So I got into JoJo. So I watched season 1 and 2. Parts 1 and 2. Sorry about that. Parts 1 and 2 are one season. It's confusing, but it's a thing. And the reason is because
that's just how anime gets released now. For some reason.
No, it has to do with the power system, I think. Because parts 1 and 2 have a completely different power system from parts 3 onward. So parts 1 and 2, but it basically you need to watch it to kind of understand the history of the Joestars, which are the main characters. Because JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, every main character of the season is some version of JoJo, being Joseph, Jonathan, Jotaro, Josuke, Giorno, and the next character, because the next part got announced, I'm so excited, is Jolene, who is one of the other Joestar's daughters, because it's all in the family. But basically, the first 2 seasons is a different power system, because they use a power called, like, I think it's Hamen. I'm brain farting right now. I'm pretty certain it's that. Which is basically like this. It's not very interesting, I will say. I enjoyed the first 2 seasons, and like watching it, like it gives you good context for the first 2 parts. It gives you good context for part 3 because you know like the history. Because basically the villain of part 1 comes back as part 3 because he's a vampire. Because he put like this mask on his.
It's always a vampire.
Okay. So he put on a mask, but anyways, it's complicated. But anyways, there's this mask, and he puts it on his face, and basically the mask turns him into vampire, and he just starts turning everyone else into vampire and killing people. So the first one is Jonathan, and Jonathan defeats Dio, who's the vampire, and basically like cuts his head off, and then they both burn to death. Well, they don't burn to death, but they basically, I think they're on a boat and they sink to the bottom of the ocean because it comes back. It all comes back. And then part 2 is with Joseph, who also comes back in part 3 as an old man. And he also uses Hamen, but there's like the Pillar Men, who are the main villain of this time. And it's okay. I liked it, it's good, but like you really start enjoying it in part 3, because part 3 is when you get the stands. And that's when things get fun. So there's the stand. He's giving me the look of like, I feel like I've told you this before, but we're gonna explain it again. So part 3 is when we get the stands, and for part 3, up until like halfway through like there's like a halfway portion, and they do a little part 2 of part 3. It's confusing, but basically like they're all based off the tarot cards, because Japan likes to use tarot cards for everything.
I play Persona. I know.
Yeah. So part 3, like they start. So Jotaro's, who is the main Joestar character, who's going to defeat the villain in this one, his is called Star Platinum, and basically he's OP. That's basically his stand is OP, and it goes like, I feel like you've all heard like the iconic like JoJo sounds, but his stand does the punching and makes the iconic JoJo sounds. I'm not going to do an impression because it's embarrassing. So, but anyways, part 3 is like when I got like super into it, but I'm going to kind of skip over it because my favorite part is part 4, which is with Josuke, and it's kind of set in, they're also in like different time periods. So this was kind of like set in like the 80s. So the main character has like the big
Pompadour.
pompadour hairstyle. He's looking great. But this one's basically a town of stand users. So there's a bunch of people in the town, and they're all stand users. And rather than fighting Dio, because Dio was defeated the last one, the main villain is this guy called Yoshikage Kira. And at first you don't really know who's the main villain until it goes on later and later. And basically what happens is the main characters end up meeting this girl who's dead, but she's stuck in this passage of time where she hasn't gone to heaven yet, and she's stuck trying to communicate with someone to tell them, like, basically, like, she can't leave until you find the killer and defeat him, because she was murdered. She was one of his first victims. So basically they're trying to find the murderer, and the murderer's stand is cool because it's like bombs. So his stand's called Killer Queen, which at this point...
I love the music references, by the way.
Yeah, at this point, the stands are all based off music references. And speaking of the music references, like, you can tell, like, the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure loves, like, classic rock and classic music because, like, the intro, like, the intro and credit song... Well, the intro songs are always, like, a traditional anime opening, but the ending credit songs are always, like, these awesome songs. So, like, part 1 and 2, the ending credit song was Roundabout, and that's what inspired that, and that's what inspired the to be continued meme. It was based off JoJo's because it ended with Roundabout, and it always ended with to be continued. So that's where that meme came from.
It's said that I have that album on vinyl.
Yes.
And a lot of people only discovered that song via the meme.
The meme, which was JoJo's. And then part 3, it is Walk Like an Egyptian.
Which is hilarious because every time that song plays at work now, I just think of you and JoJo's.
Yes, and so I always am bopping to that song. I love that song. And then part 3, I can't remember the second part where it switched over. I remember it was like kind of this like it didn't have any lyrics. It was like, but I always forget it. But it's good. It was also good. But and then part 4, 5, they also have fun classic music. But all the stands are like based off music references, and it's just so cool. But part 4 is definitely my favorite. I love that arc because I love the main villain, Yoshikage Kira, because he's just like his motives are just only for his like he doesn't have any motive to rule the world. It's only like he just likes to kill people. That's it. That's his motive. He just wants to. He's just a murderer, and okay. I enjoyed it. Like I thought.
So he has no deep, complex backstory. He just likes to kill people.
So, he does. His deep, complex backstory is he has a hand fetish. Because, like, that's the thing. Like,
Great.
when he explodes his victims, it's always ladies, and he always keeps behind their hands, and then he walks around with a severed hand.
He's just a freak. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, he's a freak. It's great. So he just walks around with, like, the severed hands, which leads to him... And this is how he's discovered...
The guy here is utterly mortified, and the girl's like, it's amazing!
Yeah. Well, this is... And it leads to how he's kind of discovered as the killer, because he puts the severed hand... He bought a sandwich at a popular sandwich place, and he puts the severed hand in the sandwich bag. And
I watched this episode with you, and I remember it.
And like this young child character, who, spoiler alert, he dies. Anyways, he ends up taking the hand, and so the rest of the episode is Kira trying to figure out how to get the hand back without being like stealing his lunch, and then in the end the kid's like, you stole my lunch, or he like finds the hand, so basically like he basically kills him, and that's where you find out what his stand is. Because basically his stand, the powers is like once he touches you whatever the stand touches becomes a bomb. So basically, that's how he killed his victims, because if he touched them, they'd basically become a bomb, explode, there'd be nothing left. Sometimes. So,
Huh.
but for plot reasons, sometimes there would be something left. So he ends up, what he does to the kid is he touches him and he explodes the first time, but he doesn't completely die yet. And the kid is also a stand user, so his stand is like these multiple little bug creatures that collect coins, because that's adorable for a kid. And then it ends up, one of the bugs ends up flying to Josuke, which it's so depressing when he dies too, because he gets exploded from the first bomb, and he's not, like, completely dead yet. He's super injured, so he's walking through the school, like, begging for someone to help him, and everyone ignores him, or, like, runs away from him, because, like, he's, like, they're like, oh my god, that kid's, like, he doesn't look okay, but I don't want to go near him. So he basically dies because no one helps him, and then there ends up being another bomb set, and then he dies via the bomb, and what happens is the stand, finds Josuke, and then the stand disappears in front of Josuke, and that's how they know he's dead. Because once you die, your stand goes away. So they find out he's dead. But one thing, like, about JoJo's is that when a character dies, they usually always show them, like, in the clouds. And usually it's kind of peaceful, but when this character died, like, it literally shows him his screaming face in the clouds, like screaming and exploding in the clouds. It's so messed up. But
and you love this show.
I do. I love it. I love part 4 is definitely my most favorite. I love part 5 because part 5 you move on to the next Joestar, which is Giorno. And Giorno is actually Dio's son, because I forgot to mention Dio stayed alive. I told you that, like, when Dio was decapitated, right? So Dio stayed alive by basically chopping off Joseph Joestar's head and putting his head onto his body. So now he is also a Joestar.
Okay.
So but this is, I'm telling you this because that's how Giorno is a Joestar, because he's Dio's son, but he's technically a Joestar because he's also Joseph's son.
Anime.
It's complicated. I don't know. He's not a vampire or anything, but and that one's basically based off in it's set in Italy. So the other ones, like the first 2 parts, are set in like Europe, and then the second 2 parts are set in, second part is set in Egypt, and then the third part is in Japan, and then this part is in Italy. And it's basically Giorno, and in the end he becomes the Mafia. It has to do with the Mafia too, and that one is very good too.
Okay.
There's some really great characters in that one, and it's really good. But one thing about JoJo is that, like, they will kill off your favorite character. If you like a character, don't hold on to them for too long, because they're probably gonna die. Unless no, but even then, even if you are a Joestar, you're probably gonna die too. That's the thing. Everyone dies.
It's like the polar opposite of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, that's
Dragon
the
Ball,
thing.
everyone comes back.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't come back in JoJo's, and like your favorite character, he's probably bound to die at some point. That's just how it works.
And in Inuyasha, one of the anti-heroes has a magical stick that brings people back to life.
Woo! Yeah, nope, not in JoJo's, but I'm really excited because part 6
And by stick,
was
I mean
announced.
sword.
Yes, magical sword, not stick. He's like, poke. Wake up.
It might as well be a stick. It doesn't cut anything.
True. No, it does cut things. It cuts the creatures.
It cuts the demons from the underworld.
Yeah, so it does cut things. You wouldn't be able. You can't just poke those with a stick.
And in the third movie, it does like this weird like light attack that he uses on the armor thing.
Yep. I'm so
the
sorry,
third movie
everyone.
that I guess.
This podcast is off the rails.
No, you just talked about JoJo for 20 minutes.
I'm looking at the timer now.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyways, we still got stuff to talk
sorry. I know there's still so many other shows that I could talk about.
Anyways,
You talk
what's
for a
funny
while.
is-
Talk for 20 minutes. I can't speak. I'm sorry, people.
I can't go on for 20, but we'll continue here.
All right.
Anyways, so obviously one of the biggest animes from the 2000s was Naruto,
Oh boy.
and we both completely skipped Naruto basically.
Yep. I still have skipped it. I still haven't watched it, except
Okay.
for the movies that you
Well-
showed me.
Okay.
But
Well,
you.
anyways, I skipped when Naruto was running. I was watching Inuyasha and Yu-Gi-Oh, so that's my excuse. But anyways, once I got back into anime, I was aware of Naruto, but I never really had a desire to watch it until I met my best friend, and at first I didn't even know he was super into Naruto, and then I found out he's super into Naruto.
Naruto.
And I wanted to know what he was talking about all the time.
Yep.
So I finally said, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch this. So I get through OG Naruto. I'm like, okay, that wasn't too long. And then I get to Shippuden, and I'm like, 500 episodes?
Yep.
Because at this point, most of the anime I had watched was... I think the longest thing I had watched at this point was Dragon Ball Z. I mean, even Inuyasha was only like 160 something episodes.
Yep.
So when I saw 500 episodes, that was like the first real like, whoa, this is a lot. And so I found ways to watch it, and I basically watched the entire thing over the course of it took me like 3 months, just so
Wow.
I could just to understand like what he was talking about
Yep.
half the time. And then because of that, I discovered Naruto: The Last Movie, which is one of my favorite anime films of all time because it is a phenomenal film. And I'm now currently following Boruto when the dub releases. So it's funny how things have changed.
Yeah. No, I remember you when you got into Naruto, and I was kind of surprised, but seeing you now, you love it. So, woohoo!
Well, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but I don't hate it like a lot of people do for some reason.
Yeah, I don't understand why it has so much hate. I don't get it.
It's because I'm convinced you have like the Dragon Ball purists from beforehand, and then you have
Hiccup.
people who came in later on, and they don't get the hype kind of
Yep.
thing. I mean, because to be fair, I watched every episode of Shippuden, and my god, the filler, my god, the flashbacks.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
and I'm one of those guys that doesn't skip filler. I just power through that shit.
Yep.
So,
No, I feel ya.
and unlike Dragon Ball and Inuyasha, not all the filler in Naruto is good.
Yep.
But yeah, so I watched Naruto, and I gained an appreciation for that one. And around that point also is when we started getting into anime films, because that's when you basically strong-armed me into watching Your Name.
Yeah. Well, a funny story about Your Name is that I actually watched it at school. My teacher actually played it for us.
Oh,
Well,
really?
it was it was my faculty advisor for, so I've mentioned it a couple times, but I went to Japan, I studied abroad there, and my faculty advisor, ran, like, a little, it was like a Japanese culture club, and they did, like, a viewing on it, and she wanted us all to go, and we watched Your Name on campus. So I
Was
watched
it dubbed
it
or
in,
was
like,
it subbed?
it was dubbed. So we watched it on campus in like one of our big lecture halls, and she had set it up, and it was great. And that was the first time I watched it, and I was like, "Bill, you need to watch it."
No, you know what happened is we were at Walmart just dicking around.
Yeah,
And,
and I was like, "You should get that."
You were like, you should watch Your Name. This movie's phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
we should go home and watch it. And I'm like, okay. So then I bought it, and you were like, oh, you didn't need to buy it. I'm like, yeah, but I wanted to buy it, so... Yeah, then we went and watched it, and at first I was very confused, but now it's like one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, it is like it's one of those films that I recommend to people who like don't necessarily like watch anime, because I think you can get enjoyment out of it regardless. Really,
Well, it's a very well designed
It's a very
film.
good-
there
yeah.
isn't, especially the twist
yeah.
that comes at the end.
The story, like, it's a very good story, and I definitely recommend it to people who maybe they don't want to watch like a whole season of a show, or maybe they just want to one and done something. Like that's what I recommend because it's very good. The story's very compelling, and I think
It was also
did
kind of
get...
around the point.
Oh, you go.
You were saying?
Oh, well, I was gonna say I think it did actually get like some actual award nominations. It did that.
It did.
Well.
It was like massively well received.
Yeah.
To the point where the creator actually kind of had backlash against it because it was so popular.
Yeah, I think he just wasn't expecting it to be that popular, but
well, because it wasn't really like any of his other films.
Yeah, but it's truly a great film.
It's cool too because that was actually kind of the point where I started really realizing I kind of like romance animes.
Yeah. And it's so funny because
this really is weird.
Like, this is the point in time where our anime taste like switched, where you got super into romance and I got super into shonen.
Well, I wouldn't say romance exclusively, more like romance / slice of life.
Yeah, well, shoujo. You got more into the shoujo ones.
To a degree, because I mean, I'm still obviously I'm following.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm following
of course.
Boruto as that releases. I mean, I followed Dragon Ball Super religiously when that came out.
Yeah.
But my current anime is not a... Well, actually, what am I... My current anime I'm watching is Full Metal Panic, and that show has no freaking sense of tone.
Yes, which is why I couldn't watch it, but I respect that you do watch it.
Basically, I'm not going to spoil it, but I won't spoil what happens in the show, but for all intents and purposes, it's like... It's a mech anime... But it's also like high school rom-com / slice of life.
Yeah.
Like there'll be one episode where it's like terrorists are like kidnapping students and they're gonna bomb a plane.
Yeah.
And then there's like the main character is essentially a bodyguard for the character that's supposed to be like our viewpoint character into the world of that show.
Yep.
But so yeah, it's like this really dark and like crazy episode, and then the next thing is like some high school rom-com bullshit where it's like what. And the first series, like the original Full Metal Panic series that ADV dubbed, kind of like alternates back and forth. Then the second season, Full Metal Panic
isn't it just like
it's like called Formofu or something weird.
Yeah,
it's just a legitimate rom-com like slice of life. Like there's no mechs, it's just all of a sudden a slice of life. It's only 12 episodes, so it's not like a full 26er.
Yeah.
And then the third series, the second raid, goes completely into the action side, and all the slice of life stuff is pushed way to the back.
That's so funny.
And then I haven't watched it yet, but the most recent series looks to be just as action packed as second raid. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm catching up on that, and I'm like, this show is so confusing, but I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I like the main characters because it's literally she beats the shit out of him the entire show, but they love each other. It's hilarious. Yeah. It's like, what is this?
I think one of the things about that show that I can't watch is that like I'm just not super into mechs. I think the only mech show I've ever watched was Code Geass, but like the mechs weren't the main thing around the show. Like I was interested.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they're not
reasons.
really the main thing on Full Metal Panic either.
Yeah, but I think the no tone thing really was just like, nope, I can't do this. And also, it's just not a show that I watch anymore. But I forgot to mention that Code Geass was one that I watched in high school. But
yeah, you really wanted me to watch, and I still haven't got around to it yet.
Yeah, but honestly, I still think you should watch it. But the thing is like, I don't think it's a show that you can rewatch. Because I tried to rewatch it, and I just didn't enjoy it, because I knew everything that was coming. And just, you gotta watch it fresh by yourself.
See, the problem with Code Geass right now is my list, it's like number like 10 on like a list of other things I have to watch first.
Oh yeah. No.
Because I mean, I still got I'm finishing Full Metal Panic, and then I have to watch Yu Yu Hakusho because I've promised my friend I will watch that, and I keep putting it off. Yeah. Attack on Titan, once that's done, I'm gonna watch because I want to binge that. Fruit Baskets, that's on the list. I'm
Yep.
waiting for on that one. I'm just kind of waiting for season 3 to get a decent amount of episodes in, and then I'll start watching it so I can kind of catch up.
Yep.
And then there's also my ongoings, like obviously Baruto. Every time a new section of dub comes out, I have to watch that. I'm following the Inuyasha sequel,
Yeah.
which just finished its first season. I'm just waiting for the dub to catch up
Yep.
to finish that off, and then eventually watch the second season, which will hopefully be better.
Yeah.
Not as confusing and infuriating. And
Yeah.
God, that shows. I want to like it so much, but at the same time, it's like,
You struggle
Wha-
with it.
why
Yeah.
are you punching us? Like Inuyasha had such a happy ending, and why is this one so unhappy?
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I hope it gets better. I will not be watching it.
No, because you hate sequel anime.
It's not that it's just like, I don't know. Like, I just like, I don't know. I can't get into like the sequels because I get too attached. Well, the only show that I can get attached to where it's like, it's not really a sequel, but it's more, is like JoJo's, but that's the thing, it's like, it's different storylines and like, I don't know. I just like, I can't get in, I don't really consider JoJo's a sequel.
Or then you get like the ones like Dragon Ball or Naruto, where they're basically just continuations of one story.
Yeah. See, I like the continuations of one story more. I don't like I don't know. I can't get into it, but that's okay.
Well, I think the problem with Yashahime, I think that's how you pronounce it, is
Yeah.
Inuyasha had such a good definitive ending that this ending,
Yeah.
the only way they could really, they could have gone two ways. They could have gone the way that the most fans, I assume, wanted, or they went the way that they went by making basically. Oh yeah, everything went to shit right after, by the way.
Yeah, and I think that's why I can't get into it, because I'm just like, I don't like the premise to start off with, and I just like, I don't want to watch it, because I'm like, I like the happy ending. I don't want this, so nope,
my
I'm
thing
vetoing it. It didn't happen.
Well, most of the fans
I
have
turn
to.
away.
Although I loved watching the meltdown.
Sorry,
I loved what.
I just realized my
your
cat was behind me.
Your cat's in the back.
She just yawned, and it was really cute.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm at the point now where I'm so invested into it that I just want to know. I want to know what happens, because it's like,
well,
it's
now
so,
you're like too far in and you can't stop.
well the way, especially the way the first season ended, because it was like, what the hell? I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone because it's still new, but yeah. But anyways, yeah, that one was big. I mean, obviously, the one that you're pushing me to watch now is Fruit Baskets, which I'm going to watch at some point.
Because it will make you cry. Oh my god, I think I've cried so many times watching that show, because it just...
So that's like, it's like a slice of life rom-com /
fantasy.
Yeah, I guess.
That's really good. I definitely think people should watch that, especially because...
It's funny, because you kept telling me to watch it, and I didn't realize there was 2 series.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, what's the 2001 series? And you were like, don't watch it, it's trash. And I was like, okay.
Well, it's not, I mean, like, it's not good compared to, like, what
you can say it's
now.
trash, because the creator said it's trash.
Yeah,
so.
it's trash. But another show I keep bugging you to watch, too, is The Promised Neverland, which you won't watch for some reason, but it is
because
so
I have a
good.
list, and it's just going
to
get pushed
to the list, because it deserves to be watched,
well,
because
it's gonna
it is
be at
very good.
It's going to go to the end, and I'll get to it in like 12 years.
Oh, God. Well, that is also very
man.
good. I have to start watching season 2. It's on my list of things to watch, but right now I'm watching, so... Well, I have to catch up with I have to finish off Black Clover, because Black Clover is over, and I'm real sad about it, because I love that show. And then after that, I need to catch up with the current dub of One Piece, because I'm like 6 episodes away until like it turns to sub, so I'm like delaying the inevitable. But right now I'm watching Hunter x Hunter, which is another show I recommend to you, because Hunter x Hunter is a masterpiece.
Yeah,
it's
but here's the thing: if I'm gonna watch Hunter x Hunter, I have to watch Yu Hakusho first.
Okay, all right, we'll start watching that so you can watch Hunter x Hunter.
Because I have to. I have too many things to watch. That is the issue.
Yeah. No,
right
because
now.
I have Jujutsu Kaisen to watch. I have to finish that, and that's really good. But another show, I wanted to mention this show because I think it's really good. It's on Netflix that I watched recently that I look at now, and especially after like what I've watched as a child compared to now, I'm like, I would have never watched this as a child. I watched Dorohedoro, and that show is very violent, but I freaking love it. It's like magic, but like there's like a lot of like.
It actually kind of it kind of amazes me now looking at my anime shelf how many animes there are that are based off of games.
Yeah, well, especially there's a lot of like that was like a huge trend too because I never watched it, but like Sword Art Online was a huge video game trend. I really liked I really liked The Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime. That show
is that based off a game?
I don't think it's based off I don't know if
okay.
it's based off a game, but the concept is based off a game where like the main character is kind of like he basically dies and he gets reincarnated as a slime in a world that works like a game where he levels up and gains
I've got the first like 12 episodes of that. I gotta watch at some point.
It's very good. And the next season just came out recently, so I need to watch that too. Then another good show that's kind of video game based off is The Rising of the Shield Hero. And that one is really good. That one's like, it takes you for a ride because it starts out with the people being brought from like our world being brought into this video game world. But it's interesting because each of the 4 people, because there's a sword, a shield, a bow and arrow, and like a staff. But each of them are from a different universe of Japan. So they're all from Japan, but they're all from alternate universes as well. So, like, because at one point they go like, oh, blah, blah, blah's president. And someone's like, blah, blah, blah isn't president. He's not president. But basically, like, they go and all arrive in the world. And without even knowing it, the shield hero is immediately being, like, gets snubbed and basically gets turned. Someone works against him. The princess of the kingdom basically manipulates him and like says that, oh, like he assaulted me. So he basically gets exiled from the whole kingdom, and he has to become this hero with no help from everyone, and everyone hates him. And it's very good.
It's kind of funny too, because even like game-based anime, there's also a lot of animes based off of video games now.
Oh yeah, no,
like
there's Persona 4.
like Ace Attorney.
Ace Attorney.
Well, Persona 4,
good.
obviously. Ace Attorney is. What's funny is the Ace Attorney anime wasn't, before it got dubbed, a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't super. I don't know why, because I've never watched the sub, but a lot of people had a negative vibe. But then the dub came out, and the dub's hilarious.
Yeah, it hits
different. Same with the Persona 5 anime is I think the biggest case of that, where when the Persona 5 anime came out, it was trashed.
Yeah.
For being kind of bland, and then the dub came out, and the dub basically saved it, because all those characters, Persona 5's voice cast is phenomenal, and just getting them to do more work was so good.
Yeah, I also think too is like people here were so attached to their voices, you know, because as they played the game with the voice cast, and I think when
it's
you
not
go
even
to watch the anime, it's different though. Like it feels different, and the jokes are different. You know?
See, one of the biggest complaints. What made the Persona 4 anime so big was it basically established the main character Yuna Arakami as the meme lord he is.
Yeah.
Like the mimetic badass. He's like the master of all skills.
Yes.
Just like perfect, Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
And then you move over to Ren, who's more of a in Persona, like even in Persona 4, even though like Yuna Arakami is kind of a blank slate in game, you can make him very much like he is in the anime.
Yes.
In Persona 5, Ren is very like he's not really it's hard to say because Ren is more of like an open book kind of thing. Like he could be, you can make him out to be kind of a dick. You can make him out to be a good character. So his character is a lot more harder to pinpoint. Yeah. So when the actual the sub came out, he was very bland.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I guess, didn't dig that. Plus, the animation was kind of meh. But I mean, that's a nitpicky critique in my opinion. But then the dub comes out, and we get Xander Mopus doing Ren's voice, and he has like this like snark and like personality to him, and it's like, okay, I can dig this. He's got a character now. Plus, you had all the other cast who were just phenomenal. Like the voice cast of Persona 5 is like one of the best like dubs in like a long time.
Sorry.
But that's a classic too. I mean, we could honestly go all day about anime.
I know. We could definitely like go on forever.
So I guess before we wrap it up, what would you say is your least favorite genre of anime?
It's hard because like a lot of things cross over for me, but I think the one I'm least likely to watch is like mechs. I don't end up watching. I don't know. I can't get into it. I can't get it. It's not for me.
Mechs aren't really my favorite. The only mech animes I can say I've watched are Full Metal Panic, Gurren Lagann, but that's a parody, and Neon Genesis Evangelion, but that's a classic. So other than that, like I never was into Gundam or like Robotech or whatever those things are. But I can watch them if I have to. The one anime that I just can't watch is I don't get harem animes.
Yeah, no, I don't watch harem. I have watched Reverse Harem. I forgot to mention that, but in high school I did like to dabble in the reversed harem, but that's because I was looking at a bunch of pretty boys. But I don't get into pretty anime boys. But the regular harem, well, yeah, that's what the reverse harem is.
I know what it means, Alex.
Okay.
I get it. I'm just, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't see what the appeal is. The one guy with a bunch of girls.
Yeah, I don't really watch it now, but well, it was more you look at the nice, pretty characters, and that's it. You just enjoy. It's not a lot of plot. They're not very good. I'm not going to say they were good shows, because a lot of them were trash, but I watched them.
I think I have a couple that I gotten like a lot, and I kept them because I just don't get rid of things, but
yeah,
I'll probably never watch them. They exist in my collection.
Alright, so moving on, what would be now your favorite genre, and then after this, let's do our current favorite show. But
current favorite show? Okay,
well,
so
first do favorite genre.
So for me, I like action adventure, but I also like heavy story. Mm-hmm. So you can probably see where this is going.
Yes.
Like story and character building.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of like that. I mean, I do enjoy a good action flick. Like I still love Dragon Ball. I still love Naruto, Boruto, whatever. I actually do like Boruto, unlike a lot of people, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like story heavy, like plot driven anime. I guess you could say with that good action, good characters.
Yeah. I'd have to say the same. You know, I more rely on like the more shonen, the more action driven, but I do like the actual storylines and the character development. So I'd have to say the same. That's more of my favorite now. So
okay.
Now your current favorite show, because everyone knows that it changes from time to time. Or maybe do like top 3. How about top 3?
Well, okay, so favorite overall it's no secret, it's Inuyasha.
Yeah.
It's been Inuyasha for a long time, and now it's basically I've just come to accept it. See, number 2 and 3 are kind of harder to pinpoint, because I mean, you gotta say obviously Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I mean even the original Dragon Ball, that's an absolute classic.
Yep.
And then I'm looking at the wall. I mean, Cowboy Bebop's up there, the Ace Attorney anime. I'm probably gonna say Cowboy Bebop just because it was probably the gateway.
Yeah, no, it got you back in.
I mean, the other two shift all the time though, but for the most part, Inuyasha's always top.
Yep.
All right, now what about you?
So I'd have to say, mine's shifted quite a lot recently. So
I know.
there's not really a particular order, but I'd have to say One Piece is now one of my top 3. I love One Piece. I'm so it's so good. I love it so much. And then I'd have to put JoJo's up there because I love JoJo's.
Yeah, it's like you only talked about it for 40 minutes.
Hey, shut the fuck up. Part 4 would be like my favorite of JoJo's, but that's definitely up there. And then, like the third one is hard.
See, that's the same for me.
I'd have to say Black Clover because I do really love that show. I think it's good. I was so sad when they said it was ending, but I'm hoping it comes back. So, but
okay.
That will have to be my top 3.
Okay, now here's something I thought of. We just did shows. How about we do top 3 favorite anime films?
Oh, I don't know if I can do that.
Or at least favorite film, if anything.
Okay, I'll do my just number 1 because I don't know if I've seen that many. But also, well, I've seen a bunch, but I wouldn't say all of them are good.
Well, I mean, I've seen a bunch of films too, but I mean, I can name 3 off the top of my head, but that's just
Alright, how
me.
about you go first, and then I'll think on it, and if I could do 2, at least.
Okay, well, I mean, obviously, I said it... Well, maybe I might cheat here, because I love the Inuyasha films, but I think I'm gonna exclude those just because of how... I kind of have a bias there.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna say my favorite anime film is probably Naruto the Last.
Yep.
I love that movie. Then obviously Your Name.
Yep.
And then the outlandish one is Perfect Blue.
Oh boy.
I love Perfect Blue, even though that movie's kind of fucked.
I know.
It's not even that it's messed up. I just love Satoshi Kon's films.
Yep.
And Perfect Blue is the first one, and it's the one I have the most nostalgia for.
Yeah. No, I get
it. He was like... I always described it as if Miyazaki is the Walt Disney of anime films,
Yep.
then Satoshi Kon was kind of like the Don Bluth, like the darker and edgier.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
No, I get it.
I mean, other than that, I mean, a close second is I really liked Weathering with You as well. The pseudo sequel to Your Name.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked all the Satoshi Kon films too, but definitely I'd say that the one that's probably my favorite is Perfect Blue.
Yep. Nice.
Okay.
So, for me, I'd have to say the very first Sailor Moon movie would have to be one of my favorites. The Promise
Just for
of the
nostalgia
Rose.
purposes?
Nostalgia because it really did get me into anime. And it's also like, it's a childhood memory, so it has a special place in my heart. And I'd have to say... I'd have to say Your Name, because that's just a really great film, and I could watch that any day and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then, my number 3, I'd have to say is The Weathering with You, because I know it didn't get as much, accredited claim. I thought it was a very good movie, too.
It was a phenomenal...
It was very good. I really enjoyed it.
It was a phenomenal film, but my God, it was an emotional roller coaster.
Oh, yeah. No, it made you really emotional, but I loved it. I thought it was so good. And, sometimes, I almost want to watch that one more than Your Name sometimes.
Well, what's funny, what I always thought is funny about Weathering with You is it has a happy ending, but at the same time, it has a really dark happy ending.
Yeah. No. I really love that. Yeah.
Well, I'm still confused by the ending of that film just because of the implications, just because it's implied that movie takes place in between the ending of Your Name and then the ending scene of Your Name.
Yeah.
but that doesn't make sense because literally Weathering with You ends with Tokyo flooded.
Yeah.
But they found each other, so that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
It's a great film though. It's definitely darker, and it had a much.
Oh yeah.
It had a very high quality voice cast too. Like there was professional actors in that film. Like I think the only two standard anime actors I could think of in that film were the two who reprised their roles from Your Name.
Yeah, no, the rest was like a
That and Mike Pollock.
Yeah. No.
Mike Pollock had a cameo.
No, that movie was definitely really good though.
I mean, other than that, like obviously, I'm looking at the Inuyasha film collection right now, and those movies are really good, even though they're. Isn't it funny how the anime films based off shows are always so very it's hard to tell whether they're canon or not.
Well, no, I totally get. Well, because some of them like they just aren't canon. Because I know the second My Hero Academia movie isn't canon, but
most
also
of the Dragon Ball movies aren't canon.
I need to bring this up now because I thought of it. But in the third My Hero Academia movie, there's like been a trailer that came out. And the premise is that the main character, who's like a cinnamon roll, was framed for murder. And it became a meme on Twitter, and I just needed to bring it up because I thought that was hilarious.
Well, the Inuyasha films, I know for a fact, the first one is the one that's really unclear. The second one is not canon.
Yep.
Just because Naraku dies in it, kind of.
Dun dun.
And then the third one is the one that's probably canon.
Yeah.
And I still haven't seen the fourth one, so I don't know.
Whoops. I think I saw them all when they were on YouTube at one point.
The second and third ones are like the two best, but
yeah,
that's mostly just because I thought the first one was boring.
Ooh, sorry, I keep yawning. I'm getting to that point.
You tired yourself out talking about JoJo's.
I did. I got really tired talking about JoJo's.
God forbid you talk about One Piece.
Oh, I could do a whole.
Well, what's funny is
love One Piece so much.
What's funny is you only started watching One Piece around the point where we started this podcast.
Yeah,
no, my only knowledge of One Piece before that was I happened to catch the debut of the 4Kids dub when that launched. And I remember I was like, this is garbage. I never want to see this again.
How dare you? How dare you call One Piece
Have you?
garbage? I haven't watched it. I've only watched the Funimation dub, but it's such a good show.
Look up a comparison at some point just for the hilarity's sake. Also, the pirate rap.
No.
The pirate rap.
No.
Oh man, 4Kids was a joy.
I'm not going to do that, but thank you for offering. But I declined that offer, and I will not do that. Thank you. You showed me Angelina Anaconda. I'm never looking up something you recommend again. I'm still mad about it.
You reminded me of it, so.
I did not say, oh, you know what? We should look up Angelina Anaconda.
No.
You remembered that yourself. I brought up a movie.
You brought up Digimon the movie, and when you bring up Digimon the movie, you get war flashbacks.
I don't. I blocked it out. But now it's stuck in my head, and it will never leave. And I have to look at that terrifying, creepy-ass face in my... I clicked on saying, oh no. Okay, I didn't mess up the podcast, guys. We're all good. Well,
it's all right. We're wrapping it up soon anyways. Well, so, as you can see, we like anime.
We do. We could probably do another one of these like in a year, and reflect and be like, wow, this is... How much? We could do that in a year. We'll bring up anime again in a year.
If we're still doing this in a year.
I believe in us. I believe this is what episode now? 13, 12?
13, 12, somewhere around there.
11, 10, 9, 8. No, sorry.
Well, now we're just going backwards. Alright. Well, anyways, guys, this was fun.
This was chaotic.
Yep. Yes, it was. But anyways, the Gaming Collecting Podcast can be found on all major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. This podcast is brought to you by Anchor Podcasts. And thank you guys once again for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us, or in this case,
anime.
I guess, the shows that shaped us.
The animus that shaped us. Ooh, ooh.
We might as well just rename this podcast "We're a Bunch of Weebs."
Yeah. No, we might as well just change this podcast to Alex and Bill talk about random ass crap. Take a listen. Woo!
Yep. All right,
And-
guys. Well, anyways, as Alex starts to fall apart here, we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye!